Hello collectors, it's Steven again with another review. This time I'm taking a look at Neca's Xenomorph from the game Alien Isolation. Inspired by Big Chap, this beastie towers over most other figures. The series this figure was released in has been criticized by some collectors that it's a cheap repaint wave, and it's easy for a casual collector to pass on. But is it? Well, let's take a look to see whether or not it's worth adding into your collection. So, Not Big Chap here does look pretty good, and what really helps this is the rather glossy paint and cool dry brushing. However, there are some quality control issues which may really bother some, and to be honest, the materials the figure is made out of, well, it feels kind of cheap. Now, the reason why I say the material the figure is made out of is rather cheap is that, well, it's soft. And as you can see here, it's very easy to move parts of the figure around and squish them. And unfortunately, because of the packaging design, because it has long legs and, well, it's kind of cramped, and you'll see it from my unboxing video, you may have to heat some parts up of the body and reform them back into their natural shape, the way that they're supposed to be. The feet are a prime example of this because I've seen some reports where the foot is just completely crushed inside the packaging. So do be careful with that. And as you may see throughout the video, this does affect the articulation a little bit in terms of the joints being strong and being able to hold a pose. First, the front of the head where you can see the teeth are a nice silver and the inner mouth is pretty basic, and to be honest, it really doesn't need that much detailing. Now, looking at the tubes which connect to the jaw, it looks like on mine, one of them was ripped off at the factory right here, and it was glued in place before it was placed inside of its packaging. And also right here, you can take a look at the inside of the very murky dome where you can see some of the detailing, and you can also take a look at the very, very creepy eyes. The rest of the head features great detailing too, though the dome is not perfect. An issue which plagued the Big Chap figure Neca released in Series 2 is that the dome did not fit properly on its head, which resulted in you being able to see the inside of the dome. And as you can clearly see here, it's present on this figure too. Additionally, you may be able to see it running right here, and a hairline right there. You'll see some mold markings on the dome, and while it may not be an issue elsewhere on the figure, as you may have picked up on a few small points, it does sort of ruin the illusion of this being a very creepy monster. A shot of the chest where you can see the sculpt detailing is great, and the paint apps are cool. A shot of the arms, which features some gnarly fingers on the hand. A look at the back of the Xenomorph where you can see these tubes, spines, whatever you would prefer to call them, have some pretty neat detailing. Now the tail, which features some nice detailing as you can see, and it finishes off with this nice spear tip. A look at the legs of the Xenomorph, which also feature that nice detailing found throughout the body. And now the lower portion of the legs featuring the new shin calf area and the nice creepy feet. It's easy to say that, though this figure does borrow some parts from the previously released Big Chap and similar engineering to the dog alien, it's pretty unique. So, Not Big Chap here has some pretty solid articulation. It's kind of a mixture with the alien warrior body and the dog alien. So first, let's start off with the head. Mouth. It has hinge movement, though technically it's connected here onto swivel joints, so you can open and close it. And the inner mouth just kind of slides out like that. Now, here's the fun part. Image editing time. My Xenomorph's mouth was actually glued in some way, whether it was melted plastic or stuck with paint, to the head, so I could not move it fresh out of the package. I had to sit with a blow dryer for about 20 minutes until it was soft enough so this way I could pull one side of the jaw off, then pry the other off, and yeah, I ripped it a little bit. Not that big of an issue at the end of the day, except for the fact that, as you'll see in a little bit, the jaw kind of looks funky when it's opened all the way. But it's still one of those things where if I didn't know what I was doing, I would have broken it. And so like I was saying, you get the jaw to open all the way like that, and it kind of looks like it's disconnected a bit. And the inner mouth doesn't really like to stay in all the way too. But, c'est la vie. Now, the head, it's attached to the neck on a ball joint, and you get some pretty decent movement left and right. But you have to be careful because I showed you earlier, it looks like this tube was broken off in the factory and just glued back on. Yeah, you might break the tubes. So you don't want to do that. In terms of moving forward and back, you're not going to get too much movement, though luckily this little spine here can be popped off. And it improves the articulation just a little bit, but not so much so that you really need to ever pop this off. But, you know, if you don't want to display your Xenomorph like that, you don't have to. Shoulders, we do have the typical swivel hinge combo from Neca, as you can see there. So you get ball joint-like motion in the shoulders. We have a bicep swivel. Spin all the way around. Elbow, we have a single hinge, as you can see here, and there are swivel joints worked in there. So if you want to swing the Xenomorph's arm around at the elbow, you can. And then, for the wrists, we have the typical swivel hinge combo. So this way you can get some decent movement out of there. Hey! Alright. Now, moving down at the waist, or for the ab crunch, because this is a big chap, we have a ball joint. Can rock around like that. Pretty nice, pretty standard. Moving down to the hips, we have the same sort of joint for the shoulder. Hinge, peg into the thigh, so you can twist it around, which is pretty nice. Now, here's a really cool part about this Xenomorph. Double hinge knee, so you get lots of movement there, which is pretty cool. Then, halfway down the lower portion of the leg, you get another swivel hinge combo. So you can spin the leg around like that. And then for the ankle, we do have a hinge with a swivel, so this way you can get some anchor rocker movement. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stand this guy up as far as he can. So he's clearly off screen. Yeah, stands up pretty tall. I'd say that's close to about, say, 9 or 10 inches. So, very cool there if you want to display him towering over something. And then last but not least, we have a wire tail. Now, the only downside of this is I'm having a lot of trouble moving it at the base. I mean, I can move it, but as you can see here, it doesn't like to hold its shape. Maybe the wire here is broken and it just doesn't want to work, but yeah, not the best results here. And speaking of breaking, since it is a wire tail, there's a chance it may break over time, so do be careful with that. Now, as one might be easily able to guess, yeah, it kind of has some trouble standing on its own. However, if you're creative and you don't want to extend the legs all the way, you can get the Xenomorph to stand in a reasonable position. However, let's say you're not comfortable with the position it's in, and you feel it needs a little bit more support because, let's be honest, those legs are very thin. You get this little stand here. And as you'll see, it only really works to help support the Xenomorph in an already reasonable standing position. Because, let me back it up here, if you stand it all the way up, and pretend it's running around like it does in the Isolation video game, the stand really doesn't do too much to support it. So, I mean, it's a nice attempt by Neca to give a support stand for this guy, but if you're really interested in a solid support stand, Tamashii Stage Act 4. That's what you're going to want to use. Now, though this Isolation Xenomorph is tall, it's not necessarily a big figure. It's just that the legs are super long. To get an idea of how big it is, here's the Xenomorph alongside some of the SH Monster Arts aliens. Here alongside some of Neca's other alien figures. And finally alongside the Neca Alien Queen and some eggs. So as you can see, in a reasonable standing position, it's about your average size Neca Xenomorph. So, buy it now, skip it, or wait for a deal. It looks nice, but it does have some quality control issues which affect both the looks and the articulation, and sadly, it's a crapshoot about the QC issues because you can't identify all possible issues just by looking at it. It does need some support to stand, and the stand it comes with does help with most poses. However, though there are some negatives to the figure, it's a rather nice piece from the video game and a nice addition to a hive. I have mine in my hive guarding some eggs and it looks pretty intimidating. I highly recommend this figure to Alien fans, and if you're thinking about getting this figure or any other figures from the Isolation series, get them quick because they're selling out. Collectors love this series. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching and be sure to give it a thumbs up. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't. If you'd like to view some of my other videos, go ahead and click on the pictures in this video and you'll be taken right to them. I've hand-selected them just for you. Be sure to check the description for both more information and some links to help me out, including a link to my Patreon. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.